What's up, Chodes? I want to talk about reproduction carts today. Reproduction cartridging, making reproduction cartridges, carts. Anyways, making reproductions on video games is kind of big business. In my opinion, there's definitely a market for it. There are certain games that, you know, people will take and make a reproduction of. It's exactly what it sounds like. They make a reproduction, they sell it at a much cheaper price than you would normally have to pay for this particular item. It's a lot cheaper, obviously. Like I just said, it is a lot more abundant. But what I want to get into is, in my opinion, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable when it comes to reproduction cartridges. First of all, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with reproduction cartridges if it is clearly marked, clearly stated, there is something blatantly obvious about the cartridge that says, hey, I'm not the real deal, I'm a reproduction. Let me give you an example. 1990 Nintendo World Championships, right? This is a reproduction. How do I know this is reproduction? Because they didn't make blue clear cases back in 1990, and well, the label's not the same, and it says reproduction cartridge right there. So that's what I mean, clearly marked, clear, plain as day. Another acceptable example here, in my opinion, Super Noah's Ark 3D. Okay, what makes this a reproduction? Well, it looks nothing like the original that came out. The original that came out was a funky looking black cartridge. Jordan, please put up a picture and show them what I'm talking about. It did not come like this. So this is a good example though of, now it doesn't say reproduction on here, but again, the cartridge is completely different. They make pretty high quality labels. I mean, that's gloss. Looks pretty damn good in my opinion. And that kind of segues into the next point here. A lot of people are making reproductions for the sole purpose of trying to rip people off. They're going to sell these reproductions and people are thinking they're getting the real deal, and these scalpers, I guess for lack of a better word, are being kind of dirty about it. You know, they're selling someone a reproduction that probably cost them, you know, 15 bucks to make, if that. And perfect example, Little Samson. That gets brought up, you know, this show, Game Chasers, whatever, a lot. But that's a perfect example of people just making reproductions to try to cash in on it. It's a very popular game, very sought after game right now. It's actually a good game, very popular amongst collectors. It's a very expensive game too, though. And something people will do with that is they'll buy the Famicom version, which is Lickle, and they will put it in any old NES. I don't have one over here, but any old NES game, not that a gray cartridge. Fuck, you know what a goddamn gray cartridge looks like. So anyways, they'll take an old gray cartridge of any game, doesn't matter, and they will take the label off, they will clean the label off, clean off the gum residue, all that stuff. They will put the board, Lickle board, inside of a US NES cartridge, and they will print out a label that says Little Samson, and they will sell this to someone for, it's going for like upwards of $1,000 right now, and not spend anywhere near that, with the sole intent of trying to rip somebody off. And then you put the game in and it pops up, it says Lickle, not Little Samson. And the game's the same, but that's not the point, because the PAL version is not as hard to come by and it's not near as expensive. So people are getting ripped off that way, so please be careful. People are selling reproductions without making it clear, without putting on the label, without, you know, or false insides like I just discussed. It's kind of scumbaggish in my opinion. I mean, that's really all I got to say about it. It's pretty much a fucking dirtbag move right there. But yeah, I'm okay with reproductions. Make it clear, state it. This is a reproduction, you know, just, and even, and some people will do it. I've seen some people, you know, I'll just put a label on it. I mean, that's great and all, but what happens when you do decide to do that? Are you honest about it? Or are you, well, fuck it, it's got a nice label on it and this is the actual game, just no label, which bad label depreciates the value, and they just try to sell it anyways, because technically they're still selling them the real game, but it's not in its originality like it should be. So I don't know, I'll get off my soapbox now. That's what's on my mind this weekend, reproduction cartridges. Put your thoughts and opinions down below. If you're in the reproduction business and you're not being clear about what you're selling and you're offended by this, don't really give a fuck. So Jay out, later chodes. Put your opinions on next week's video in the comments.
Want more Shady, Jay? Of course you do. Hit subscribe to be up to date with what Jay has to say.